Started in about 1 minute. I'm just making sure we're actually recording. Okay, so let's get this started. So welcome to session 3. Can you believe we've survived 1 month of school? Un mois de fait, on est tous en forme, j'espère. Alors, this session is called You Are Well on Your Way. Awesome, we're getting more and more people coming in. So let's look at what we're going to cover this evening. So we're going to look at, actually, I meant to take that off. Okay, well, first of all, I want to look at some AIM lessons and just some videos. Now, one you might have seen already, but I have some particular questions that I want you to think about while you're watching them tonight. And hopefully that'll help you reflect on your practice. We're also going to look at the daily schedule, le menu du jour, comment utiliser ça avec les élèves. We're going to look at questioning activities and question games. And we're going to get a good look at language manipulation activities, partner group work, and if we have time, we'll talk about play rehearsals. So as you can see, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Certainly at any point, if you want to ask a question or make a comment, you can send a chat, or if you're comfortable, put your microphone on and say, "Excuse me, I have a question," and go ahead. So let's get started here. So the video clip that you're going to see, the focus will be on redirecting behavior. So here are the questions that I want you to consider. How is behavior redirected? Now we're keeping in mind that this is still beginner students and in the first month of school. And how is student participation encouraged and elicited? So how is behavior redirected, and how is student participation encouraged and elicited? So that's what you're going to be thinking about as you watch this very short clip coming up. All right.
Bonjour les amis. Comment ça va? Oh, ça va ma oh. Oh, ça va bien. Arrête, pardon.
Comment ça va? Bien.
Ça va bien, moi aussi, merci. Aujourd'hui, pardon. Aujourd'hui, lève-toi. 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 Tous les mots saute, saute, saute.
Okay. So how is behavior redirected? You saw that I was on the verge of losing complete control of them. So that's embarrassing. But how do I redirect them? Well, first of all, in the beginning of the school year, when they have only either no or very little bagage langagier, a simple arrête, without big explanations of what they're doing wrong and what the consequences are, is more than enough. the fact that I gesture that and make them chorally speak with me, arrête, arrête, well, gets them off the behavior that I don't want, because they've learned at this point that the expectation is that when I'm gesturing, they are chorally speaking with me in the group. So the simple intervention of saying arrête, the kids, because the gesture is there, are also saying arrête. So what happens is that they stop the behavior. When we think about how student participation is encouraged and elicited, I hope that you've been using this strategy, pardon. Pardon should be a word they're hearing a lot in the beginning of this school year in order to elicit their participation. Alors, c'est vraiment important de penser au fait que il n'y a aucun avantage à ce que l'enseignante fasse des gestes et parle et que les enfants la regardent. It's not a gesturing course. The gestures are a tool to get the students to speak in French with you. So you must elicit their participation, their verbal participation. So using pardon and then prompting them at the beginning also with a tout le monde, pardon, tout le monde dit. Really, you have to be insistent. So in that clip, that's what I was doing. I was using the pardon and I was prompting them with tout le monde. Please remember that. It happens often where I'll get some classroom footage of teachers starting off, and it's a common difficulty that the teacher will be gesturing, but the kids aren't actually speaking. So you have to make sure that you are eliciting their verbal participation. Another trick is to make your voice disappear. If the students already know, for example, the words that you're going to be gesturing and using, well, perhaps you don't need your voice there. Perhaps you just need the gestures. So, for example, if I'm saying pardon and they already know pardon, I can be simply like this, and the kids will be saying pardon on their own. What happens when the teacher withdraws her voice? The kids feel that they need to step up their game and participate more verbally. So don't be afraid of using those strategies. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Now, in the next clip, the questions I want you to consider are: what is done to make sure students are speaking? What is done when the student's attention starts fading? And what is done when students try to tell long stories in English? Because we know that happens, right? So let's go to the next one.
Owen. Méchant. Pardon? Méchant. Méchant.
Do the running thing with
Oh.
do the
Oh.
do the running thing with the sheep.
Bonjour les amis.
Bonjour.
Comment ça va? Oh, ça va bien, mais Sally, ça va mal. Je... Pardon? Mash, 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 mash. Au revoir.
Do the cuckoo
Pardon?
thing.
Au revoir. Très bien. Oh,
Then she
oh.
has silly things that the other ones. Not doing my
Oh.
phone. Ow.
Bonjour les amis. Comment ça va? Aujourd'hui, je veux sauter, sauter, sauter. Qu'est-ce qu'on dit?
Was he running?
Tu
No,
marches,
jumping.
tu marches, tu marches, tu marches. Sauter, sauter. Uh-oh.
All right, so let's go back to our questions. So what is done to make sure the students are speaking? Well, again, I'm sure you've noticed my favorite word is pardon. And of course, always prompting the students with tout le monde dit. That should be their signal that something is expected of them verbally. When their attention starts fading, what do? Well, you often would have to switch it up, right? If you need to get them standing up, getting to do some different movements, that's okay. Bringing humor into it keeps the students' attention focused on the task at hand. So you notice that I use the puppets a lot because that engages the students and eliminates a lot of the attention fading. But also I'll bring in the humor. So the whole thing about, the puppets acting up and not doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's intentional to keep the students engaged and focused on speaking French. You probably also notice that at certain points, my voice does disappear or become much more quiet. That is intentional so that the students will be heard above me. Now, you probably also noticed that this little guy, Owen, was constantly trying to tell long stories in English. So what did I do? Well, this was the very beginning of the year. And so he really didn't have all this language du langage bagagier, du bagage langagier pour me parler de ce qu'il voulait. Alors, j'ignorais, mais avec un simple aussi, to make him aware that, that's not what I want to hear, but then really not losing the flow of the lesson and just keep going through and just with a simple little and moving on. Why do I do that? Because I don't want to lose the flow. If I stop to address every time he's interrupting in English, I'm going to lose the other kids. I'm going to get into big explanations that I can't do in French because they don't have the vocabulary yet. And so at that point in the year, I am ignoring him, okay? And just a simple little Later on, as the sur le tapis, en français sur le tapis rule is really clear, I would just remind that child, En français sur le tapis. En français sur le tapis. And of course, I would be gesturing that so that all the kids would be saying it. And what happens when they say it is that they start understanding that they have to do it as well. So there's some, strategies that you can use in these types of situations. Let's keep going. No. Okay. Now, in the next clip, I want you to be thinking about, okay, what does this have to do with pared down language? How does it demonstrate the use of pared down language? So you'll see that the activity is pertaining to colors because in kindergarten we have to teach them their colors. So this is a very short clip that you'll see.
Ça, c'est no. Ça, c'est no. Ça, c'est no. Oh, pardon, Isaiah. Ça, c'est no. Wow.
So, as you see, I'm using a book there with different images of things that are yellow. So there's lots of vocabulary that could be introduced using that book. You know, le citron est jaune, la banane est jaune, la table est jaune, le toutou est jaune, whatever the images are. But at that point, my lesson is really on using a high frequency expression. So, ça c'est jaune. I want them to learn the color. So our focus is on la couleur jaune, but I'm trying to establish the use of, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. Ugh, okay. Ça c'est. So you can see how you can put your thematic vocabulary, such as colors, in conjunction in a word association with a structure that they can use it with. So then what happens? Well, the kids have learned, ça c'est jaune, ça c'est rouge, ça c'est bleu. Oh, well then they are able to reuse that. It's high frequency, okay? So when I ask them, quelle couleur est-ce que c'est? Ça c'est jaune, ça c'est rouge. They have a high frequency expression that they can use in combination with the colors. Of course, later on, I introduce the different vocabulary. The lesson changes. And so it would be la banane est jaune, le toutou est jaune, la voiture est jaune. But in the beginning, I'm thinking general and higher scope of vocabulary. Well, here we go. So if you remember, a few weeks ago when we met, I described how I introduced le vocabulaire pour la météo. And so my point tonight is to bring us back to how visuals are really important, especially when you're working with young students. That's why the visual of the gesture is an important tool. It's an important cue for students, but also the visual support in the form of posters and images is also important. So we had talked about last time having, when we're teaching la météo, having the vocabulary and the images, the associated images handy when you're teaching that. Today, my focus is going to be le menu du jour, so the daily schedule. So in most classrooms today, teachers post the daily schedule so that the students know what's coming next. And in the AIM classroom, it's no different. Hang on a second here. I feel like, I'm just going to pause for a second because somehow, no, okay. All right, we'll go back to this. Sorry. Just keep hearing a doorbell, and I thought maybe I was getting chat messages from you, but no, it's people coming and going or coming, I'm not sure. So if I get back to what I was talking about, most of us would post a daily schedule so that the kids can know what's coming next. They know what's going to happen during the day. Now, in an AIM classroom, associating the image with a structured sentence for each activity period allows the students to describe their day accurately. So in the routines handbook, that's part of your immersion portal, I describe this at great length. So this is where I'm taking it. So if you forget after this evening what I said, don't worry, it's described in your routines handbook on your immersion portal. One thing that I do highly recommend is that you use your own images. What I find with the daily schedules or les menus du jour that you can buy in a store like Scholar's Choice is that the images are not often very accurate. So the kids don't have a difficulty associating the image with something that actually happens in their day. So for me, I've always found that it's more beneficial to find my own images. So here are some examples. Well, I don't know what's happening. 1 minute, I'm having a little technical issue here. We seem to be, oh, okay. We're on the move again. All right. So here you're seeing some of the images that I use. Now, these little cards have a Velcro behind them, and I have a piece of my wall or a bulletin board with the other part of the Velcro, and so I can interchange these on a daily basis. So, Madame lit un livre. On fait le calendrier. On va à la bibliothèque. On joue. It's very intentional. The sentence structures I'm using are high frequency. I'm not using nous allons à la bibliothèque. I'm using on. I'm using the pared down language so that students can have a better chance of reusing this vocabulary. So this becomes part of our morning routine. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait aujourd'hui? Aujourd'hui, Madame va lire un livre. Aujourd'hui, on va faire le calendrier. So that's the first step, is in the morning saying, I introduce what we're going to do till recess. On va faire, on va, on va, on va. Okay? As we go through the activities, what do kids learn very quickly? To say, qu'est-ce qu'on fait maintenant? Maintenant, on fait le calendrier. As they become very familiar with the pictograms and the associated verbal énoncé, then they are able to answer their own question. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait maintenant, madame? I will tell them, regarde ici. And I show them the picture. Ah, on fait le calendrier maintenant. Oui, c'est vrai. And I will congratulate them for figuring it out. So you see how the kids can use this to help them describe their day tout en français. At the end of the day, on fait un retour sur ce qu'on a fait. Qu'est-ce qu'on a fait aujourd'hui? Qui peut me dire une chose? Aujourd'hui, on a fait le calendrier. Qui peut me dire une autre chose? So you see how it goes. Alors, on apprend à décrire notre journée. On dit ce qu'on va faire, on dit ce qu'on est en train de faire et on dit ce que l'on a fait. Alors, les élèves se familiarisent beaucoup avec le vocabulaire qui leur permet de décrire leur journée. Here are a few other images. So, on va dehors pour la récréation, on va sur le tapis, on fait les centres, on fait les activités sur la poule ma boule. So they learn a lot of vocabulary just about their daily activities. So what happens is that they're able to then transfer, because it's something that we go through every day. It becomes part of our routine. Well, then the students are able to transfer that so that when they get home at the end of the day and maman dit, qu'est-ce que tu as fait aujourd'hui? Aujourd'hui, on a fait le calendrier. Aujourd'hui, on a fait les centres. The child is able to transfer this ability of describing his day into some authentic communication tasks. Here's some more images. So if you do create your menu du jour, try to think of the pared down language, what is going to be most useful, and what sentence structures are going to be reusable for the kids, and that they'll have success at using them. Les responsabilités, chores. So as an AIM teacher, we really do want to foster student autonomy. And one way to do this, while introducing useful vocabulary and expressions, is by assigning the daily chores. Now, again, the description of how to do this is also found in your routines handbook on the immersion portal. So you can refer back to that if you forget some parts tonight. But it's important to give kids increasing responsibilities in the classroom. So some of the responsibilities that I have in my classroom are passer le balai, ouvrir la porte, pousser les chaises, prendre les présences. So that whole taking attendance routine that I showed you in prior weeks, where the kids are going, où est, où est, où est, Joni, well, that starts off with me doing it, but then it becomes a chore that kids get assigned to. Allumer et éteindre les lumières, donner les messages, and whatever else will help to the functioning of your classroom. Again, visuals are important. Now, I'll show you some pictures here. Okay, yes, le distributeur. Hein? So that's what I'm talking about. When you choose des affichages pour vos classes, souvent, ceux qu'on va trouver vont dire distributeur. Ben, distributeur, c'est pas un mot de haute fréquence. It's not something that the kids are naturally going to have success at using if this is a second language classroom. Mais je donne les cahiers. Ben, je donne, c'est vraiment quelque chose qu'on peut réutiliser. So, moi, j'appelle ça « je donne les cahiers ». Et comme vous voyez, I have pictures of actual students in the classroom doing the activity. One thing I've learned over my years of teaching is that kids are very concrete thinkers. So even if I put an image of something that I really think looks like someone giving out copybooks, doesn't mean that they actually get it. So often I'll just take their picture doing it, and that becomes the poster that goes up in the classroom, and then it's really clear. So that's what l'affichage looks like. So I have several chores. Je lis et je dis les noms for prendre les présences, because again, that's intentional, high frequency, more useful words. Okay, je passe le balai. Do I have more? No. Okay. So how do I introduce these? Well, I have usually about 7 different chores in my classroom, but I start by introducing one. Okay, so I'll have the image and I will get the kids to practice it, everyone ensemble. So let's say I'm introducing the chore of on pousse les chaises. Aujourd'hui, tout le monde pousse les chaises. Regarde-moi, je pousse ma chaise. And then I push it. Maintenant, lève-toi et pousse ta chaise. Très, très bien. Regarde ici. Then I would show them the picture. Rebecca pousse la chaise. Ooh, très, très bien. Tout le monde pousse les chaises maintenant. We actually practice it. Just because I say on pousse les chaises and show them a picture of someone pushing chairs doesn't mean that they actually know what I mean when I want them to push chairs. So we practice it together. And the way I organize my responsibilities is then I usually have their names on clothes pegs and I pin their name to the chore that they're assigned to. So in the beginning, you know, there might be just 2 kids that have a chore. Every day I add a new chore until all of them have been introduced. Qui pousse les chaises? Rebecca pousse les chaises. Qui passe le balai? Dominique passe le balai. And we go through this one at a time. When I assign chores, they keep the chores usually for 5 days, and I rotate them on Mondays. But of course, that's totally up to you. But you have to teach explicitly the behaviors, and you have to do it through the use of gesture and choral speaking and actually getting the students to do the required chore with you. So that is, of course, still part of learning in context. Okay, so let's move on. So the next subject we're going to talk about is developing oral proficiency through questioning. You've probably noticed if you've been perusing through your teacher's guide and through the students' reproducible book, the Blackline Masters, that there's a lot of questioning activities included in the aim. Being able to ask and answer questions is an important skill when you're learning a second language. So, by now, perhaps you've noticed that on a les questions totales et les questions partielles. Les questions totales are the questions that contain the answer within the question. So, for example, est-ce que la poule, ma boule, habite à la ferme ou dans le ciel? La poule, ma boule, habite à la ferme. So the answer is in the question. Why do we do this? Those are the questions that we start with in AIM. They're the easiest type because there's the answer in them. That is done intentionally. We want students to be able to produce complete sentences orally and, of course, written eventually. So giving them a choice of answers within the question allows the student to experience success at expressing themselves in complete sentences. It's all about getting the kids to experience success. Quand on goûte au succès, quand on voit qu'on est capable de produire des phrases complètes en français, ben, notre confiance augmente, on se sent bien, puis on se sent capable. Alors, on devient capable de faire encore plus en français. So, the questions that you're seeing are in your student workbook, and they are reproducible. And I just want to look at les questions partielles, and then we're going to look at how do we use these questions to get the kids speaking. And we're going to look at games that we can use, that we can play using these questions. So these are les questions totales. Les questions partielles sont un peu plus difficiles parce que la réponse ne se trouve pas dans la question. So those are questions, for example, où est-ce que la poule, ma boule, habite? Où est-ce que le gland tombe? Où est-ce que la poule, ma boule, regarde après que le gland tombe? So you'll notice in your student workbook that the questions, les questions partielles, are grouped. So it's intentional that we have many ooh questions in a row. Why is that? Well, that's done so that the students have a chance, have the time to understand what the word means. Où est-ce? Où est-ce? On the first turn, many kids will not know where où est-ce que means where. But when you do it, où est-ce que, où est-ce que, où est-ce que, many times in a row, it gives everyone the opportunity to really master and understand what that means, où est-ce. So we intentionally group them that way. So for example, another example is when I'm doing a play characters activity and I'm trying to teach the difference between gentil and méchant, well, I will ask, est-ce que la poule, ma boule, est méchante ou gentille? La poule, ma boule, est gentille. And then I would ask, est-ce que le chat Micha est méchant ou gentil? Oh, le chat Micha est gentil. I would ask many of these questions because I want the students to have a chance to understand what gentil is and make that association. So be intentional about grouping similar questions, and that's done in your workbook as well. You probably noticed that when I ask a question, I pause and go, that is also intentional, because I work with very young students who are very enthusiastic but want to scream out an answer. So, right, if they hear est-ce que la poule habite dans le ciel ou à la ferme? À la ferme! They're all screaming. So I want to train them not to do that, because it's annoying, first of all, it's too loud, and thirdly, because I want complete sentences as answers. So I train the students right from the beginning. When we ask a question and they're asking it with me chorally, as I lead them through with my gestures, they all pause and go, So I'm teaching them to think and slow down. Formulate that answer. Est-ce que la poule, ma boule, habite dans le ciel ou à la ferme? La poule, ma boule, habite à la ferme. Now you'll see that this will slow things down and get the students producing very nicely structured answers. Of course, in the beginning, you are providing full support. And that means that you're gesturing the answers and you're saying the answers with the students. But as they gain proficiency, and you know that they are able to answer the questions on their own, you need to start withdrawing your votre appui. Okay? On doit éliminer certaines composantes de notre appui. Donc, notre voix peut disparaître. Est-ce que la poule ma boule habite à la ferme ou dans le ciel? So I would get them started, perhaps, because I want to train them to have a good sentence starter. That would be one step, and my voice could be withdrawn, but I could gesture the beginning of the sentence. If I know that they're able to produce the full sentence on their own, well, then I don't have to be speaking it. I can let them go ahead and do that. So hang on a second. I see that I have perhaps a question, so I'm just going to check on that. Okay. All right. Okay, so those are some important steps for using the questions, okay? Now, sometimes you will just be asking and answering questions. Aujourd'hui, tout le monde dit les questions avec moi et tout le monde dit les réponses aussi. Question, réponse, question, réponse. Aujourd'hui, tout le monde dit les questions et les réponses. Très, très bien. And then we would go through a series of questions. Sometimes I like to switch it up and present the questions in game format. Young kids, especially boys, tend to be quite competitive. And so when I present the questions through games, it's a really good way of keeping them engaged and participating. So I want to talk about 3 games that you could use. So, Madame compte la classe. I kind of laugh that this is actually a game, but trust me, the kids absolutely love playing this. All you need is a tiny little whiteboard, or a big one if you have one, but tiny works, with 2 columns. One is Madame, one is la classe. So I explained to the kids that when we play this game, la classe gagne un point si tout le monde pose la question et si on répond bien à la question. So they are speaking chorally. So I'm gesturing the questions, okay? And they're speaking them, they're asking them chorally with me, and then they are answering them chorally with me. I award the class a point if that is done correctly. If the class makes a mistake, they don't say the right answer. They say something like, la poule ma boule habite dans le ciel. Oh my goodness. Then I get the point. I also award points to my own self if students scream out answers or if they disrupt the game in any way. So this is all explained to them before we play it. Aujourd'hui, quand on joue, je gagne des points si tu fais un mauvais choix. And I explain to them, par exemple, si tu cries à la ferme, Madame gagne un point. Si tu touches à ton ami, je gagne un autre point. And I give them examples. On modélise, bien sûr, tout le temps. So it's so silly. And so this is what my little whiteboard looks like. And that's it. And I do give myself points so that they learn. I'm not kidding. If you're being silly, rolling around on the carpet and not participating, Madame gagne des points. Trust me, the fact that the class, all the kids are on one team together, they keep each other in line. And this is how I present some of the questions. So it switches it up. It's a game format, and they enjoy it, and they're so competitive. That's one of the things I just love about little kids, the young students, is that, it doesn't have to be complicated. And they really buy in, and they really want to beat me at the game. So I think it's just hilarious. Okay, I think I have some messages here. I'm just going to check. Whoops, sorry. Okay. Oh, I do not, I try not to point out who's doing the mauvais choix, but I'll say like, oh, je vois des mauvais choix, and I give myself a point. I try not to, call the perpetrator out on purpose, but he knows who he is, and it usually stops. But I'll say, je vois des mauvais choix. And so nobody feels attacked, but they learn very quickly, oh no, she means business, so we better behave. So that's Madame compte la classe, and this works for everything. So sometimes it doesn't have to be with your AIM questions. It can be with, if you want to integrate the use of questioning in d'autres matières, it would work very well also. Madame Chiasson a perdu is another one of my favorite games. So what you're seeing is a game board that I would have. You see the little library pockets. Oh dear, sorry, I just dropped my water bottle. Sorry, Pete. Oh dear. So the students have, so I have these library pockets with numbers on them. It could be anything on them. And I have a newer version where I actually can wipe off. I can use markers. I could use alphabet on the, or images on the little pockets. And inside the pockets are little cards. 4 of the cards will have a word. One card will be Madame. One card will be Chiasson. A perdu. Those are the only 4 words that are hidden somewhere in these pockets. The other cards have nothing on them. Actually, I just used my little qui a parlé seulement français cards for the game, but they have basically nothing special on them except for those 4 cards. So what happens is, once again, it's the class against me. We are asking questions and answering questions. If the students ask and answer properly, I pick one student to come to decide, je choisis le numéro 2. And then we pick out the card. If the card has one of the words, that's awesome for the class. If the card has nothing, then that's good for me. The goal of the game is that the students find the 4 words to make up the sentence, Madame Chiasson a perdu, before I stop asking questions. Now so it would look like this if they found all the words. For older students, I would tell them how many questions I'm going to ask. Younger kids, they really don't know. It doesn't really bother them. But that's up to you. You could say, aujourd'hui, je vais faire 10 questions. So we do these questions. I usually pick kids that are really participating and engaged to get a chance to say, je choisis le numéro 2. I engage the other kids that didn't get to choose the pochette that we're going to pick from by saying, qu'est-ce qu'elle a choisi? Elle a choisi le numéro 2. So I'm always ensuring that the students are engaged. Everyone has to be engaged. If one student gets to choisir la pochette, I make sure that I ask the kids, qu'est-ce qu'elle a choisi? So they have to force themselves to listen to what their teammate has chosen. So Madame Chiasson a perdu is a really fun game for reviewing the questions. So of course they win if they uncover the 4 words that make up the sentence before I stop asking the questions. And if they don't, then I win. And you know what? Sometimes I do win. This game could be played every single day of the school year, and they would never get tired of it. They absolutely love it. Zip, Zat, Zoo is another one. Again, you see 3 pockets. One is Zit, one is Zat, one is Zoo. On these cards, you have numbers. Those numbers represent the number of points you get for answering a question correctly. The Zut cards are also in each pochette. If you get a Zut card, you don't get any points on your turn. So in this game, the class is broken up into 2 or 3 teams. we ask the questions chorally, and every team asks the question, but then I choose which team will answer the question. Alors, si on pose la question, est-ce que la poule, ma boule, habite dans le ciel ou à la ferme? Équipe 1, la poule, ma boule, habite à la ferme. So then équipe 1 gets to choose if they want a number from the zut pocket, zoo pocket, zut, za, zoo. They get to choose which pocket they want their points to come out of when I pick it up. So it's random. They might get a 5 points, they might get 3 points, they might get 1 point, or they might get a zut in which they don't get any points. At the end, the team that got the most points wins. You get some addition going on in there as well, because they're gaining points. So depending on the grade level, if you're in grade 1 or 2, you can also be getting them to do some mental math to keep track of their scores. So you're really integrating everything with them. So these games are awesome. And I bet that you have some games too that you already use that get the kids speaking. So if you do have some games that you use in your class that would work well, or that are already working well with questioning, type them up in the chat box and let us know. Or, unmute yourself and say, hey, I have a really cool game that works, and we'll listen. We'd love to hear it. But if you're too shy, you can use the chat box, no problem. All right, so we're going to keep going. Language manipulation activities. So those are the activities that are in your student workbook, okay? They use the pared down language. The students are very familiar with the vocabulary because they know the story by heart, right? All the language manipulation activities are modeled orally and visually first with gestures, then written. They start easy and they get increasingly more challenging. We repeat activities, and then some are phased out, new ones are added. We gradually change to ensure confidence, and we want, again, the students to experience success. You may, if you wish, organize the work in pocket folders. One side for completed work and one side for pas complété. Okay, that's up to you, but it's a way of functioning that does work very well. So how do you introduce these activities? Well, it starts with you, the teacher. Then the class does it together. Then the students do it at their tables on their own or with a partner or a small group. So we always model the activities orally first. So when I'm doing, par exemple, les questions, I'm doing them orally. I'm not even talking about the written ones yet. The written form is presented together with the class after oral practice and modeling. And we teach the students, we show them how to find the answers. Then the students work with a partner or a group to complete the activity. So here is what are the activities, what they look like. Let me just take a sip of water. Okay. So the first language manipulation activity actually is preparing les marionnettes. Okay, so when you want to do this, don't forget that on the portal, you have a little rap, a little song for introducing this activity. Aujourd'hui, on colorie. That type of thing. Maybe you've seen it. Look for it. It's a little rap to introduce les marionnettes activity. So for the younger students, it's really important not to give them all that coloring on one day. Why? Because they will make a big mess of it. And if you're like a control freak like me, you don't like things to be barbouillé, du barbouillage, scribble, scrabble partout. Alors, what I do is I make packages of the photocopies, so they have 3 pages of marionettes, and the first day they're allowed to color the first 2 marionettes. The second day we color 2 more. That way, I ensure qu'on a du travail de qualité. Je veux pas de barbouillage. So it might take 3 days to color everything, because remember, everything takes 10 minutes, right? But when you're giving les consignes, you're using your gesture to explain what your expectations are. Aujourd'hui, on colorie la poule ma boule et le mouton fiston. Tu ne coloris pas le cheval Cristobal aujourd'hui. Tu ne coloris pas le chat Micha aujourd'hui. Tu ne coloris pas le loup Foufou aujourd'hui. Aujourd'hui, tu coloris seulement la poule, ma boule et le mouton fiston. Qu'est-ce que tu coloris aujourd'hui? Aujourd'hui, tu coloris seulement la poule, ma boule et le mouton fiston. You have to really go through it with them. Then I show them, regarde-moi, je colorie la poule, ma boule. And I do it in front of them. Je colorie le mouton fiston. Maintenant, tu coloris la poule, ma boule et le mouton fiston aussi. When I give these activities to do at their tables, it's the first ones, right? So it's scary because, what's going to happen? I'm going to let them leave. They're all going to start speaking in English with each other, right? Freedom at their tables. So I make sure that I model some sentences that they could use when they're at their tables. Quand tu coloris, tu peux dire « Je veux le jaune, s'il vous plaît. Je veux le rouge, s'il vous plaît. J'aime ton travail. C'est très bien. Wow, tu coloris très bien. And so I model for them what they could be saying when they're at their tables. And then once I let them at their tables and I hear somebody use some of the sentences that I modeled, well, I make sure that I hand them une carte. Bravo, tu as dit, je veux le crayon vert. And so I'm walking around with my little carte and giving them out to them. Mais ça rend les élèves très motivés parce que tout le monde veut avoir une petite carte. Alors, this is one way of getting them into speaking English, French with each other. English, not a problem. Okay, sorry about that. So maybe over 3 days, they color les marionnettes. Then on découpe les marionnettes. Then we have to put them on popsicle sticks. So you can see where this is going to take several days. Break it up into manageable chunks so that you get a travail de qualité. Another tip I will give you is that get the students to write their name on the back of each and every puppet. Even though you're going to keep their puppets perhaps in a Ziploc bag or in their pocket folder duotang with their name on it, it's not enough. Why? Because kids leave their stuff everywhere. And you don't want to be chasing people to see, c'est à qui la poule ma boule? Because you're going to have 30 of them on the floor. Get them to write their names on each one of their puppets, and you will be thanking me for that tip. That way, when it gets found on the floor, j'ai trouvé la poule ma boule de Dana. Merci, madame. C'est ma poule ma boule. All right. And of course, les marionnettes will then be used for play rehearsals, okay? And we'll get into that later. The next activity is la lecture de la pièce de théâtre. It's really important that the students learn the story by heart, orally, before you give them the written format. This is especially important for students that already have some reading skills in their mother tongue. If a child is reading in English already and you give them l'histoire de la poule ma boule before they memorize it orally, they are going to read it with an English twang. Voici l'histoire de la poule ma boule. You see what I'm saying? And you want to avoid that. So make sure that the students know the story orally, by heart, before you give them the written play. You can use the written play at your lovely guided reading table. You know, those, I'm assuming everyone has those lovely kidney-shaped tables in their classrooms. Avec un petit groupe, on peut faire ça. Et puis, aujourd'hui, on lit l'histoire de la poule ma boule. Even for the young students, the kindergarten students, if you just want to practice directionality and get them the confidence qu'ils sont en train de lire. Ils ont appris un texte par cœur à l'oral, mais qu'ils vont faire l'association que les mots que je dis sont des mots sur papier, ça va de gauche à droite, can be a very valuable activity. I also use the written text to get kids to do des chasses aux mots fréquents. In immersion, you have time for this type of thing. So, je dois présenter les mots fréquents. Par exemple, le mot là. Aujourd'hui, tout le monde cherche le mot là. L-A sur la page 1. OK? Tout le monde cherche et cherche et cherche. Quand tu trouves, le mot là, dis j'ai trouvé, colorie-le en orange. Whatever. Ça peut être utilisé pour des chasses aux mots aussi. Puis c'est un texte significatif. It's something the kids are familiar with. So what does that mean? They're comfortable and they experience success. Now, the next activity that I want to talk about is qu'est-ce qui se passe? There's two types. In the new guide, we have qui est-ce, and qu'est-ce qui se passe, which are basically the same type of activities. In qui est-ce, it's very basic commands to get the kids knowing the play characters. Sorry. All right. So for the young students, before I even get to this written format, my suggestion is that you enlarge the images and you put the sentences on big sentence strips. So enlarge the images, write the sentences on the whiteboard or on sentence strips. I do them on sentence strips because then I want the kids to use this in a center. But I introduce it with the class and I gesture each sentence. The students speak chorally as I gesture. After I produce the first sentence, I ask the students for their help in finding the corresponding picture. And I do it after each sentence. So then we say each sentence and we look for the picture. Then we read each sentence one at a time. We read chorally together. And then I get them to help me pick the picture. I'm not doing it with the worksheet at this point. I have everything on sentence strips and enlarged pictures, and it's movable. So I'm using magnets on my whiteboard, and so we're able to move the pictures beside the correct sentence. So it becomes a reading matching game, okay? So the kids we get to play this as a group together. And of course I play it up like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Qui peut m'aider? Oh, la première phrase, le chat Micha saute. Oh, je sais. And then I'll take, of course, the completely wrong image and put it beside. And they're like, no, madame, ça c'est pas le chat Micha. And I'm like, oh, oui, okay, excusez-moi. Oui, 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 je sais. And I'll put another one and I'll put la poule ma boule beside the sentence, le chat Micha saute. No, madame, ce n'est pas le chat Micha. And so I really use humor to elicit the kids' attention and focus. And so we play this as a game. You could even, if you were teaching, for instance, grade 2, and they are getting pretty good at reading, and you give them the sentence, maybe a few kids have a sentence, and a few kids have the image, and then they have to find each other and match each other up. So you see how you can adapt these things. And this is all done orally, right? As a group, you haven't even touched a worksheet yet. Once the kids this has been modeled, we've had fun with it, we've played with it, then I introduce the worksheet and show them, oh, tu dois lire et faire la ligne. Regarde-moi. Le chat Micha saute. And then I go, and then I show them how to complete a worksheet. They will be so familiar because we've played with it, we've manipulated it orally, they've gotten to have their hands on the pictures and the sentence strips. Then I show them how to do the worksheet. They will have success at it. So it's all about the extensive modeling. And so don't be afraid to really give the kids a chance to play, to manipulate, to experience things as a whole group before introducing the actual worksheet. You will get to the worksheet, but you have to have them experience success through oral modeling and games first. Then give the worksheet. For me, the worksheet is like une preuve d'apprentissage. But so much more has happened before we get to the worksheet. But it's just, the worksheet is something that is there so that the parents can see, okay, the end result. But they haven't seen everything that came before that. It's not simply filling out a worksheet. So I see that we're already at 8:16, and so I won't go any further. We'll pick up where we left off next time. I did have a message for you from Laura. It's a reminder for all of you to download the recording. I guess we're having some issues with people forgetting to download the recording, and then they want to have the recording. So when Laura sends it to you, please make sure that you download the recording, and you get to keep that and consult it. So if you forgot something, you can go back to our session. So we're going to stop here for tonight, and we'll continue where we left off next time. I'm just going to check my chat box. All right. Again, don't hesitate to email me in between sessions. We're going to meet again on October 21st or 20th. I can't remember which one is a Monday. But in the meantime, don't be shy. Reach out if there's anything I can help you with. And I do answer my emails. You can check with people. I'm pretty good at it. So, je vous souhaite une bonne fin de soirée. Et puis, j'espère que tout se déroule bien. N'hésitez pas à me contacter si vous avez besoin d'aide avec quoi que ce soit. Bonne soirée. Have a great night. Bye.